Well, I'm really happy to be here today. I have been wanting to come to an MTAC meeting for several months now and have finally made it up, so thank you for having me. This project, Spark Creek Watchers, right now is funded by Together Green, which is an Audubon and Toyota project that encompasses several different types of funding. So I'm a Together Green Fellow, and fellowships are awarded every year to 40 people who start grassroots conservation projects in their area. And the idea is that fellows are provided with leadership training and with a peer network that supports them to form and really and go through with successful conservation projects. So that's where the funding is currently from. Obviously, we're going to be looking for more funding in the future, like we were talking about earlier. And it's a partnership between Spark, which is an organization. Spark stands for Shore People Advancing Readiness for Knowledge. It was founded in 1998 by a couple on the Eastern Shore of Virginia. And it's a really, really cool organization. They work with families. They have coordinators in each of the elementary schools. And families sign up, and kids actually get nature-based homework that they take home with them once a month. And then once a month they get together and they have some kind of outdoor field experience where they bring all of what they've learned together. And it's all tied to Virginia's standards of learning. It started with little kids with pre-K, but people liked it so much that they wanted to stay in it after their kids had gone past pre-K. So they've actually tracked with families for 14 years now. And some of those families are in the group that I'm working with right now. And I work for the Marine Science Consortium. We're a residential, nonprofit environmental education center and research field station. We're affiliated with 11 universities from the Pennsylvania State System of Higher Education. That's who founded us 40 years ago, but since then we've grown to include family and adult programs, school programs, and then we still do college courses, undergraduate research, etc. So, one of the problems that people often have when they want to start a program like this is, well, where are our participants coming from? How am I actually going to get volunteers into my program? Luckily, I started with a built-in audience with the Spark program. So my two program partners, Grace and Matt Cormans, who started the Spark program, handpicked 11 families that they thought would do well in a watershed monitoring project. So we have the 11 families, and that's about 28 people, and kids ages 9 to 17. And what's nice, we have a pretty even demographic among those 28 people, pretty split evenly between Latinos, African Americans, and Caucasians, which are the three major demographics on the Eastern Shore anyway. And that's a picture of us monitoring. That was our first monitoring event in July. So we're monitoring our conservation target of 2 Chesapeake tidal tributaries on the Eastern Shore of Virginia. So we've got, there we are, Masongo Creek and Holden's Creek, so we're in the very northern part of Accomack County. And I guess I should say this is the first time that the MSC, the Marine Science Consortium, has ever really done anything on the Chesapeake. All of our work has been focused on the seaside. So this is really our first foray. We didn't know the Chesapeake side of the Eastern Shore really at all, except for a few sites. So it's been really good for me to get to know it. There we go. And that's Holden's Creek, one of the sites. These are both, I don't know if you know Pocomoke Sound, they're both just south of Pocomoke Sound. In terms of the logistics, this is a 12-month project right now. We'd like to extend it and to involve more people next year, but the funding for now is for these 12 months. We have the 11 families that gather once a month. During the warmer months, the MSC has kayaks, so we kayaked a portion of the creek and would monitor on the bank side and then go to a different location and monitor down the creek from there. So we gather very basic water quality data. I had very grand dreams. I'll get into that a little bit further down the line. But we're very basic stuff right now. We pick up trash, and then maybe most importantly for some people, we eat lunch. And the lunch is provided for them. So we're measuring, like I said, we're pretty basic, using very basic tools. We measure salinity, pH, DO. This is our most complicated. We use a DO meter for the DO. We use ColliScan Easy Gel for the bacteria, and that's something that was recommended to us by the Department of Environmental Quality in Virginia's citizen monitoring head. And then we temperature nitrates just using tablet tests. The pH we use a Cresol Red Lamont Cresol Red test, and then we do trash cleanup. And we've had trouble kind of quantifying, like, I have not been sure how I should be quantifying my trash cleanup, whether it's in pounds, bags, etc. We also do a new lesson each month, so during the warmer months it wasn't really much of a lesson, but we try and talk about something that was tied into the ecosystem and the watershed so that they were getting a real sense of the natural history in the area and able to make connections between everything that we were seeing. During the winter months, we've had time for them they come in at 9, we do some kind of very informal exploratory lesson in a lab where, for like last month we had our theme organism was the otter last month. So we looked at, and it's winter, so we looked at different mammal fur under the microscope and talked about adaptations to winter living based on fur. And then they get a theme organism card each month, and they get a newsletter follow-up. And since we're on the eastern shore of Virginia, we're in a really rural location, and people don't use internet. We have 2 people who use the internet a lot, and otherwise we have to call, or even Grace and Matt actually go to people's doors to remind them of things. So it's all mail, snail mail, real personal contact. And then we upload, I've just been uploading the data to the Chesapeake Bay Field Scope. My goal is to have a QAPP approved by the Virginia DEQ so that we can begin putting our data into them, but for now, I'm just uploading it to Field Scope. So, in terms of the threats that we thought we were addressing when we began the project, nutrification, sediment runoff, and trash accumulation were what we thought that we would have the most problems with, or see the most problems with. In terms of where we are now, coliform bacteria, DO, and trash are the things that we've been able to focus on, but also the things that have come up as the biggest problems, especially, we've just been monitoring. I know that there's a monitoring season, but just so that we can be consistent with the kids and do this every month for them, we've been going in the winter months as well. In different types of trash accumulation, like at one of the sites, it's all fishing line and fishing hooks. So we're trying to start a program, one of those fishing line recycling programs at that site. The other site is just ridiculous. So like here's our first cleanup at Masongo Creek. There's one of my Collie-Scan Easy Gel Petri dishes when I used too large a sample my first time, and I had too much to count. We had several behavioral targets that we identified in the beginning of the project, so we wanted people to reduce use of fertilizers and pesticides in their lawns, increase their use of reusable water bottles and bags, and they've been provided with, that's a reusable water bottle that we gave them, although they haven't been using them very much. They don't actually drink very much water. So those are things that we kind of have to bring back in and reconnect. And then we'd like for the families who are involved to seek out further opportunities once this project is ended to monitor creeks or to continue doing trash cleanups, to continue being involved in the watershed. And then the Spark graduation, every year, all of the families, and this is not quite 200 people, gather for, hurrah, we made it through the year and you have done all these things. And the creek watchers will be drawing up their own report cards. Each family will make a report card for the creek. And they can do it they've been keeping nature journals throughout the time, so they can either use their drawings or they can, I know that you guys have the really great digital resources with all of the illustrations, so I was going to have them set up in a computer lab to do that. And then they get to present that to everybody. I'm hoping to have some people from the public there as well. We've had some really great community connections that we weren't anticipating through the project. One month, in October, we went to a new site on Masongo Creek and ended up meeting a waterman who does soft-shell crab processing at a crab shack there. And he gave us this hour-long tour about everything that he's doing. He talked to the kids all about the soft-shell crab industry. He actually crabs in the James River in Virginia, not in Saxis, Virginia, where this is. And then the next month, when we went back after Hurricane Sandy, it was just, it was in shambles. All of his infrastructure had been taken down. These brand new piers were like this. So we did this, we did a cleanup for him. We got all of the boards off of his pier. We shoveled all of the marsh grasses off of the pier. So we we're starting to, we've made some good community connections. It was a feel-good moment for the kids. I think it was just a really feel-good moment. We've also had some good press recently, and we've become official creek. There is a shorekeeper on the eastern shore, but not really as organized or involved, it seems, as river keepers like you. But we are official creek watchers on the eastern shore for the 2 creeks that we've adopted. So this is what I look like when I'm feeling challenged. We have come across some major challenges. Time being one of them. We meet once a month. And this is just sort of an offshoot of my job. This is not my whole job. So this is me giving extra time to prepare, and then on the Saturdays themselves, and then to wrap up. Also, we have 2 sites that we're looking at, and we have 4 hours to try and get all of this stuff in, and it just, with almost 30 people, it's tough. A lack of training for me. I would love more training, and then that would help me train my participants better as well. The number of participants all at once, is difficult. 28 people. I have to change my model a little bit, and I'm going to try this next month. I don't have quite enough equipment for everybody to be testing pH all at once, so I end up with 6 kids in the water, the same 6 kids, every time, doing what they know how to do, and the rest of the people kind of doing this, and maybe picking up some trash. So I need to make sure that everybody's doing something. And then there's some different goals among program partners. So when I started, I had these very grand dreams of, we have the MSC partners really closely with NASA Wallops, and the environmental group has labs available that we could potentially use for chlorophyll A, for all of our nutrient testing, and that just hasn't, I had some partnerships that kind of fell through that I'd like to pick up again. But the goal of my Spark partners is really just giving people an experience and getting some data out of it, but really giving people an experience and getting them out there. So we need to fine-tune that a little bit. So in the upcoming months, we're hoping to apply for more funding through the Chesapeake Bay Trust and the Virginia Environmental Endowment. I'd like to continue to address some of our behavioral targets during our winter programming, because when we were kayaking, it was sort of, you get people in boats, they kayak, they do their thing, you get people out of the boats, it takes a while to load everything, and then they leave. I would like to improve our data collection methods so that I have usable data. We'd like to get more press so we can get more community buy-in, and then we'll be doing the Spark graduation. And just in terms of all of the equipment, we've been lucky enough that the MSC already had all of the equipment for the most part that I needed. So I didn't have to spend a lot in that area. That was it.